Hello YouTube, Josh with you. Today we're going to go ahead and review Smith&Wesson fixed blade knife. This one is called the Smith&Wesson combat knife, or SWCOM. Comes in this big ugly carton type box, which is moderately hard core and fairly durable. Basically it is another knife that most people have incorrectly referred to as a K-bar. This is modeled after the Mark II fighting knife. World War II, I don't think it saw much use in World War I, but I could be wrong. The official times that it was used were during World War II, and actually all the way up till the Iraqi freedom thing, whatever they're calling it. This is, of course, Smith&Wesson's take on it, and it is a very interesting... it's an improvement in several ways and a rather interesting change in others. Obviously this is much larger than a standard K-bar. I believe it measures 8 inches instead of 7. Yeah, it measures almost 8 inches. And it has over a 7-inch cutting surface on the blade. So the actual cutting portion of the blade is longer than the entire blade on a real full-size K-bar fighting knife. There are no serrations on this, and there is no blood groove. However, if you look at the top, it has a taper, which will kind of make it a spear-type point. Also, it is partially tanto, so it's going to penetrate things much more effectively than a standard Mark II fighting knife, or a K-bar, or the Ontario Steel Spec Plus, or any of their other knockoffs. I think they make them for the Air Force, I don't recall. Anyways, this knife is fairly hefty. The balance point is right there. It's almost the same place as it is on the K-bar. The grip is also larger. You see, I have large to extra large hands, and it's bigger than my hand. It's all steel. The blade is apparently a stainless steel. It's 440C, which is a good cutlery stainless. Let's go ahead and check the sharpness of the blade. If I remember right, the actual K-bar fighting knife was only capable of cutting through 2 sheets of paper. So, or a sheet of paper folded in half, making it 2 times the thickness. Anyway, so we'll test this the same way. It's plenty sharp. With a tanto style blade, especially one that the blade actually tapers, you have to have just the right angle. There you go. To make it cut through things like that. This is technically designed for stabbing. All the cutting edge is an improvisation added on by Smith&Wesson. This is not a true tanto. If you see, there is a slight curve there in the blade for cutting. And it's barely triangular at all. A real tanto is more triangular. So, I mean, basically, this is Smith&Wesson reaching out and slapping in the face just thousands of years of knife and sword development, and in all reality, I think they are somewhat warranted in it. I mean, this is a cool design. This is very, very well made, very well thought out. It is, of course, full tang, just like all of the other real Mark II fighting knives, or K-bars, or Spec Pluses, any of those. The real difference is this one's stainless steel. None of the conventional ones are made with stainless steel. Amusingly, K-bar makes an extreme one, which is now stainless steel, even though all those years they were saying, oh no, Kovan is better than stainless steel. But yet now they're making theirs in stainless steel. How about that? Anyways, so this is more corrosion resistant than regular steel. And C is the cutlery prime, I guess if you will, of the 440s. So it's pretty hard. It'll sharpen a lot easier than a real K-bar or a Spec Plus for sure. Spec Pluses they're impossible to sharpen. I don't know what the hell steel they use, but you need a sander or a belt grinder for that. It has the stacked leather handle, which most of the modern knives have went away from, but I kind of like. And I mean, this is really a interesting, very interesting knife. I might just have to keep this one. I like this knife. I'm going to go ahead, and the sheath. Originally I didn't want to rate the sheath on the K-bar, but I did. I think I called it a 3 out of 5. This sheath is a 4 out of 5. Leather is obviously not the most durable thing in the world, and you know, if you get it wet or anything like that, it's going to start to fall apart, and it'll dry out in the, you know, desert and whatnot. But this is an attractive sheath, and it is utilitarian, and it fits the knife. It holds the knife, and look at that belt loop. This thing easily goes onto your belt. The only downside is there's no strap, so this thing's going to dangle a little bit. But I mean, this is a big bad knife. The overall rating for this is going to be a 4 1/4 out of 5. This thing runs about 40 or 50 bucks. So the full retail of this is cheaper than the wholesale of a K-bar, and it's also cheaper than the wholesale of a Spec Plus. I did not do any research on any of the others Mark II knife clones out there. Didn't bother, but this is the knife we're reviewing. Smith&Wesson combat knife. They make several other versions of this. Most of the other ones are not made with a Tonto style blade. So if you absolutely have to have the clip point blade, but you like the other features of this, look at their other ones. This was Josh reviewing another Smith&Wesson product. This one is probably the best of all of theirs that I've reviewed. I like it. Josh, signing out.